Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, the official home of power mining analysis. In today's episode, Anthony Power and I are joined by Lauren Lin. She's the head of hardware at Luxor Technologies. Looking forward to this discussion, learning more about their hardware division and their future aspirations. Before we get into it, take a second, hit the like button guys, big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join and let us know in the comment section below if you've used the Luxor hardware offering and if you're familiar with the platform. With that being said, let's get into today's interview. All right, guys, away we go. An exciting interview today. We've got Lauren Lin, head of hardware at Luxor Technologies. A long list of questions. This is going to be an interesting interview. We've met with a number of the Luxor team already. You guys obviously have a massive business, a lot of different divisions. The hardware division specifically of interest right now. Some very topical questions going on in light of the tariffs and some of the new machines we're seeing on the market. So, Lauren, thank you so much for making the time and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Bryce and Anthony, for having me.
Most
Oh,
definitely. So the first question we've kind of been asking in this series, as head of hardware, what does your day look like at Luxor, and how did you get involved in the Bitcoin space here?
Yeah, so start with how I got involved. So I joined the Luxor team as employee number one of the Luxor business team as a business analyst in 2021, and then transitioned into the hardware sector as we grow our hardware business. And previously, I worked in management consulting and the legal industries. And in terms of my day-to-day right now as the head of hardware, my day typically spends market analysis, supplier negotiations, client and partner advisory, managing our inventory position, principal positions, and also coordinating logistics supply chains. So there's a lot of time spent on supporting our clients and partners, balancing both the strategic deals with the day-to-day client needs. So yeah.
of course. Now, Luxor offer a suite of products and services. And can you tell us more about the vision for the hardware vertical within the company itself?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Luxor's hardware's vision is to be the hub for Bitcoin mining and eventually generalize the compute where miners can access trusted supply, competitive pricing, global logistics solutions, and also financing just in one platform. So it's a very crucial piece of the entire Luxor ecosystem where we provide broader support touching software, hardware, and the financial services.
In terms of in terms of like where we're at the moment, the global hash rates, it's as high as it's ever been from a 7-day moving average, and we can check that on the Luxor website because you have all the data surrounding the global hash rate. But in terms of Bryce and myself, we deal with all the public miners, and we're having conversations with the CEOs, and there seems to be sort of like now a pullback on buying more machines to grow hash rate from the public mining sector. But can you talk more about, what if the global hash rate's increasing, where are these other customers coming from, Lauren?
Yeah, so US for sure is a very important piece in terms of hash rate concentration, but we cannot ignore there are a lot of other countries that are rising, and also we're seeing a lot of hash rate going there, especially for those older gen used equipment. For example, South America, Ethiopia in Africa, and also Central Asia, they are all like deploying more and more hash rate. So we anticipate to see more hash rate growth in those regions too.
And in terms of that hash rate growth, are you able to meet the logistics of supplying customers in those regions, or do you focus normally on North America?
Yeah, that's a good question. So our in-house, we have an expert in-house logistics team. So far, we have shipped ASICs to over 36 different countries and regions. For each of these countries, we all have like dedicated resources to go through the customs and tariffs situation. So far, I would say the majority of the business is concentrating on North America, but we are also able to provide solutions for other countries and destinations too.
That's great. And we'll come back to the tariffs in a second here, but you mentioned kind of that suite of services you guys offer, that full stack procurement suite, helping people source the machines, finance the machines, get the machines in their hands, and then up and operate. Can you talk about kind of this procurement offering or procurement suite you've put together?
Yeah, so the Luxor hardware procurement suite, we offer vetted supplies, live inventory, end-to-end logistics, just globally, or warehousing. We do operate two physical warehouses within the US, and of course, financing solutions where miners and the customers they want to get into the space but needed financing support. All these offerings are unified in one single place, and not just the hardware procurement. Beyond that, we also offer like a software solutions, including mining pools and firmware to make sure the miners are operating their fleet very efficiently. So essentially, it's from securing equipment to navigating customs delivery. So we ensure a seamless experience. And after that, we have the software and the financial service team to provide more value-added services.
Hey, and one other question we had directly from the subscriber base, in terms of ensuring these machines as they move around the world, how does that work? How the role of insurance in this entire process?
Yeah, so every of our shipment is mandatory to have insurance coverage. Very occasionally, there are users they want to waive the insurance requirement, and we would ask the user to sign like an official waiver for that. But insurance, we strongly recommend all the shipment to be 100% insured, and this is like a standard practice for our logistics team.
So it's like an opt out for the customer if they want to. It's there, but they have to opt out. In terms of customer, where you're operating in services now, are you doing it for like the smaller retail investors, like some of the other, maybe like a Compass Mining do or BitDeer do? If you want to buy, say, 5 or 6 machines and you can house them for them and have some sort of like service provide for those smaller requirements.
Yes, we do serve both institutional and more retail volume clients, just from like with different approach. Usually for larger and bulk orders, the client can get directly in touch with us. We can because usually those deals are more complex. There might be like a financing requirements. There might be some like a delivery terms or payment terms needed. Those are more complex. So we usually have a dedicated team member to be very hands-on on these kind of purchase orders. For smaller quantities, of course, the buyer can still reach us through our email website to get a team member to support. But if this is a very sophisticated buyer and know what they're looking for, they can also go directly to Luxor.tech, our website, to directly purchase the hardware there. We do have a hardware section page on the Luxor.tech website where the buyer can directly make a purchase there.
Hey, and good segue. Speaking of the website, I went over to the Luxor website looking in under the hardware section prior to the interview here, and I noticed, Lauren, the term the hardware hub for Bitcoin mining and HPC solutions. Now, we've seen a lot of the Pubco miners get into the HPC AI space, obviously harnessing the new GPUs. My question is, does Luxor look at the GPUs as kind of the next opportunity here in the hardware world?
I think the GPU is definitely part of our broader strategy, getting into more of like a generalized compute space. Right now, we did have new team members joining, who's going to dedicate on the HPC data center space. I think this is our part of like a broader initiative into the HPC space. For example, on the software side, we launched the 10 Key, which is a soft launch earlier this year in April, which we aim to provide like a software infrastructure for data center usage. And on the hardware side, we want to work on this in parallel too. That's why we're getting into the HPC side of the hardware business at the same time.
And how do you ultimately see HPC and Bitcoin mining living together? As a hardware expert in the space, you obviously have a lot of experience. We've seen some of the industry giants like Mara talking about load balancing, using Bitcoin mining as a power sink, complementing a data center HPC operations. How do you see these two verticals kind of coexisting moving forward?
Yeah, a great question. Bitcoin mining and HPC, they will increasingly share infrastructure, expertise, and talent, in my opinion, especially as these AI workloads grow. Miners are now power providers to those AI data platforms or firms. So we expect more shared facilities, resource pools, and the cross-industry collaboration ahead. And then specifically from a hardware perspective, based on a recent trip in Asia, we visited a couple of manufacturers in the mining space. We noticed that the latest designs and productions of these manufacturers have already taken into consideration of the potential transition from mining to HPC of their end users. And they're already designing and producing, for example, modular containers and racks suitable for both mining sites and data centers who wants to combine both of the operations in one location.
Cool. In terms of the logistics, the team at Luxor focuses on delivering hardware around the globe and the impacts of tariffs. We've heard a lot of talk about tariffs lately, and even some of the big public miners are having to put some sort of risks on their in their earnings reports to say potentially they could be hit with tariffs because of initiatives from the president.
Yeah, logistics is very central and it's very unique in the Luxor the business suite as well because this is the major business line that is touching the risks from the physical world. Means we need to deliver something from point A to point B, which it's not a type of challenge that software and the financial services team will usually deal with. So we have an expert team with over 20 years of experience in global logistics. They're super experienced in all the like transportation methods and all the brokers and also like agents in most of the usual agents usual regions that we need to ship the ASICs to. Like even before the new tariffs happened this year, we already advised the potential increase of the tariffs last year to our clients. And we also planned our supply chain of the ASICs around that. An example is we signed over 131 million deal with MicroBT, securing their US onshore assembly and production. So that this is like a part of our approach to mitigate the impact from the tariffs. But as you said, the different tariff situation can change from time to time, and it's very country and region based. What we can do is to stay on top of the latest trends and regulations, making sure we notify our clients ahead of time as early as we can.
And as a follow-up to that, can you talk about the used ASICs? Are they exempt from tariffs, depending on which country they originate from?
The used equipment is not exempted from the tariffs. It's not exempt. There's no exemption yet from what we're seeing. It doesn't matter whether it's US or some other countries. Yeah, but it's still very country dependent and is subject to the evolving the customs codes.
Does it help that Bitcoin mining is probably a global industry now? So you have solutions outside of the United States where some of these tariff issues are being focused on at the moment.
Oh yeah, for sure. So since the increase, which is a very significant increase in the U.S. importation tariffs, we noticed the two trends. One is the domestic volume, the transaction volume of used equipment within the U.S. has increased a lot. Meanwhile, the miners and the users, they are looking at potential destinations outside of U.S. But I think for U.S. Based investors, they are more focused on for example Canada, which geographically they feel more comfortable as a first step outside of US. And the second is to adapt to this new tariffs. The manufacturers, they are all moving their production capacity gradually into the US. So we're seeing like all of those major ASIC manufacturers, they made a public announcement to deliver assembled ASICs within the US.
Appears the tariffs are working as intended to onshore some of the production here. Now, you've talked about some of the different services, this procurement suite you offer. For people that are looking out there to potentially acquire ASICs or GPUs down the road, why should they come to Luxor versus maybe some of these other marketplace opportunities?
Yeah, great question. So, Luxor's hardware desk, I think it stands out with deeper liquidity. For example, last year we transacted over 1.2 million average daily, which is about 410 million on an annual basis. And then we also have a direct manufacturer partnerships, which for example, the official distributorship with the Canon announced earlier this year at the CES. And also we have integrated software solutions, which is a very unique differentiator from Luxor versus other hardware vendors. Clients can benefit from streamlined procurement, better pricing, and tailored derivatives to mitigate their risk. At the same time, they can utilize our mining pools and machine ASIC firmware to ensure more efficient operations. So we are solution oriented. Anything around mining, we can provide some advisory or support, which differentiates us apart. Because other hardware vendors may need to refer to other resources and other partners for an answer, but at Luxor, you probably have just one place to answer any of your all of your questions.
Now we've seen the SealMiner A2 on the website list, and that's one of them miners that's close to our hearts because we've done a lot of podcasts with BitDeer all the way through since when they announced they were going to start building their own machines. How is this particular model in terms of interest compared to its peer models, maybe from the likes of MicroBT, Bitmain, and Canaan?
Yeah, I think it just first of all with the feedback for this model, the SealMiner A2, I think the interest is definitely growing, particularly after the delivery of this model. Our client find the stability and the reliability of this model is very, very impressive. And we have seen just growing interest asking about when we will see more of this model coming into the market. I would say the only thing that we feel could be better is we have more A2 in the market. I think the production of this model is very limited at the moment. So hopefully SealMiner can open up more production and more available units to supply to the miners in the US.
We're waiting on our A3 delivery as well. They're supposed to send us one to try out. How does the relationship with BitDeer work? Is it similar to what you just described with Canaan, or are you essentially purchasing these as anyone else would off the open market?
I think for all of these manufacturers, we will try to speak directly to the manufacturers to get supply. But what we cannot ignore is there are a lot of supplies in the secondary market too. So we would reach out to all those vendors and the distributors for pricing as well as inventory because of the growing interest, the A2s and the A3s, they will sell out very quickly at the OEM level. So definitely don't ignore the availability in a secondary marketplace.
Now we know Bitdeer came from Bitmain, and Bitmain are the largest manufacturer of ASICs out there. In terms of obviously the size of Bitmain compared to the competition, are you seeing the quality of the Bitmain machines stand out more from other suppliers, or are some of these new entrants coming into the market giving more and more a good specification, good all-round ability, and very competitive with the Bitmain machines? What's your view at the moment on the sort of like the mining industry from a machine perspective?
Yeah, of course, Bitmain is a very large player in the space, and they deliver the most advanced products in the space. I think A2 because it's at least from an efficiency tier, from the same efficiency tier, A2 is definitely one of the best ASIC models from the same tier as well. But I will say, just in general, for the ASIC quality among all the manufacturers, I'll say it's very model dependent. Sometimes we'll see one of the manufacturers deliver really great quality, really stable machines, while the next generation there might be some parts issues or some other supply chain issues. So I wouldn't say it's like a manufacturer dependent, but more of like a model or production batch dependent.
Have you had an opportunity, Lauren, to see any of the Auradine machines that have been produced?
Yes.
They're obviously looking to work closely with Mara, but I'm assuming like Bitdeer with the SealMiner, not just for
Mhm.
their own company, but actually to expand and sell elsewhere. So, do you have any update on those machines?
Yes. I actually visited their offices in San Jose a couple of times, and I have seen their machines running live. So far, based on what we have seen, it's pretty a good machine, and it's really reliable. Their latest Hydro model, I had the chance to take a look in person. It's running very steadily. For because Auradine right now it's the they are a US based company. They're the core team, the headquarters is also US based. So given the current tariff situation as well as the spread of their name in the space, we're also seeing growing interest for the Auradine machines too, particularly on the hydro side.
Hey, good question. Now, as kind of a final one on the ASIC front there, based on all of the factors we just talked about, the efficiency, the price, the stability, what would you say is the standout model currently across all manufacturers? What is the best rig you can get right now, all factors considered?
Yeah, so I think it depends on. I'll just separate into new and used equipment. I think that for new equipment, definitely the S21 series is still very attractive, especially from a pricing perspective. The IOI is very attractive, but there are a small fraction of investors they just prefer the most advanced equipment, which is dedicated by it's still dominated by Bitmain. But of course, the second tier, we're also seeing still very strong interest for the WhatsMiner M60S series and then Avalon, the A15 series, which you already see a lot of public announcement of the procurement for Avalon units. While on the used equipment side, we are seeing just one model really stands out, and the demand has not been, decreasing at all since the beginning of this year, which is the S19J Pro. You might find it really, it's amazing. It's amazing to see we're still seeing like 80,000 and hundred thousands of units of them in demand for the S19J Pros, and it has been like this since the beginning of the year. Partially, it's because of the tariffs impact. The miners wanted to avoid the kind of hassles with the customs. They want to procure used stable machines from the US, and but also at the same time, in terms of like the reliability, the S19J Pro is still the most standout model in terms of used equipment like uptime. So this I think the used equipment market is quite interesting to monitor to see if there's another model that's gaining more interest in the upcoming months.
In terms of the S19J Pro, then, would you say that the resale values are quite good as well, then, in terms of if people have them and want to trade them in and maybe get a newer model, do they still hold their value really well?
Yeah, they have been holding their pricing really, really well. Like regardless of the hash price changes, we're seeing the J Pros, they're clearing between like a $2.5 per terahash to $3 per terahash, which is quite like it's quite hash price like a proof. I think this is mainly due to the limited supply available in the market within the US for this particular model.
Hey, this has been great. I wanted to wrap up with kind of a fun one here. You guys obviously have the hash rate index. We look at the forward hash rate curve. In your opinion, Lauren, where do you see hash price going in this cycle? Do you think the peak is in terms of Bitcoin, or where do you think we'll see this go before the potential for another bear market here?
Yeah, I think because of the slowdown within the US in terms of hash rate growth, we might see the hash price staying stagnant or flat for a bit, and anticipate, if the hash rate growth suddenly spike again, or the US have a new policy or regulations around ASIC imports, which can bring down the tariffs value of these equipment, we might see a decrease in that hash price again.
Makes sense. Hey, we appreciate the time today. We wanted to give you the opportunity to close out if there's anything we missed. If people are listening along, whether they're a retail investor or potentially running a mining operation, what's the best way to get more information, find out more about the hardware offering, or Luxor in general?
Yeah, feel free to go to our website, which is luxor.tech, or reach out to us via email. It's sales@luxor.tech.
Phenomenal. And you guys, if you have any additional hardware related questions, leave them in the comment section below. This has been very insightful, Lauren. We appreciate the detail, insight into the ASIC market. Hit the like button, you guys. Feel free to subscribe. We'll see you back here tomorrow.